And, I don't want to say feedback in terms of negative, right? Corrective feedback. And if they are always only giving corrective feedback, they're never giving positive reinforcement, never giving praise, never giving love, right? You are eventually going to burn your athletes out. And especially at the younger age, I feel like it's of the utmost importance to make sure, right, you are giving them positive reinforcement. And, there is data out there that says 3-1. Some people say 5-1. In all honesty, I don't know any coach who actually tracks their number of positive interactions per correction. However, I do think for you to not burn your athletes out, you need to put a premium on recognizing what they do well. Because if we celebrate what they do well, then they're going to want to repeat that behavior. You are listening to the Bridging Impact Podcast, transforming leaders on and off the court with host Coach Furtado. Without further ado, let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast. And yet again, I am flying solo. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about how athletes of this generation and even ourselves as coaches can navigate and avoid burnout, because I see this generation of players are more active than ever. They are playing more games than ever. I honestly think they are training more than ever. They're not playing as much pickup, right? And I'm really speaking in terms of basketball, right? But I know what's going on in baseball and soccer and all the other sports as well, right? Club sports are huge. They're year round. And, for me as a business owner with, BTG basketball, right? This is our time, right? We're training kids. We got training session. We got camps. We got privates. We got all of it. Boom. It's the time, man. The kids are out. Summer's out, but I think one of the things that, I really want to avoid is overuse injuries, number one, and then kids just getting burned out and having it not be fun. So I think number one, when I think about, making sure that our athletes are not burning out, is making sure that we keep the joy in what we do, right? Whatever that sport is for you coach, you need to make sure that it's still joyful. And joyful doesn't mean you're sitting around and you're playing duck, duck, goose, right? With 14, 15-year-olds and you're doing la, 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 right? No, it doesn't mean that. What it does mean, though, is there has to be some element of, spirit or just, you can't be push, right? I am definitely a big believer in kind of the philosophy of push pull. And I can give an example today where, some of my athletes, and maybe even an opportunity for me to kind of bring them in, is today we were running a training session, 90 minutes. They've been training almost every day for the past couple of weeks since they got out of school. And I could feel that. I could feel their energy waning. There was an athlete that's there that typically brings good energy. So, it's a delicate balance, right? You want to kind of push. You kind of want to push some of the older guys that I had in that group to kind of, you got to communicate a little bit more. You got to bring a little bit more energy, and also just recognize that, that they are a little bit fatigued, right? And so, when is the right time to push, right? And when is the right time to pull back and do something fun, right? And that is the age-old question. And really, it's an art, right? It's not a science. And as when it becomes an art, right, we're going to make mistakes, right, coaches? So with that being said, you may find that, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that game. I should have just pushed them a little bit more, right? And so finding that comfort zone, okay, maybe I need to stretch their comfort zone a little bit, right? And then, right, once we stretch their comfort zone, let's say we had a hard practice, they were tired, right? What can we do to remind them about recovery? And this is obviously the hard thing with younger people. They don't necessarily, they feel invincible. So just giving them reminders about the importance of sleep, about the importance of drinking enough water, because especially for my guys, and this is maybe something that I need to do a bit better, and I'm almost thinking out loud, is reminding them to drink water, just because, at these training sessions when they're outside, right, a lot of camps are outside, making sure that they are hydrating, even if you're not outside, you're in a gym or wherever you are. You want to make sure you're hydrated if you're active all day. And it's obviously a big, step in activation levels, from going from sitting in the classroom from 9 to 3 or whatever it is, to, eventually being active for 4 to 6 hours a day, depending on the age and stage of your athlete, what they're doing. So I just think the recovery aspect is so important. So making sure you're having joy in practice. And for me, I think a lot of joy is just the attitude and the energy that you bring, right? Making sure that, you don't want a you don't want your culture to be fear-based, right? There has to be accountability, right, for people, obviously their behavior, punctuality, and however, like there's a lot of philosophy on you shouldn't make your kids run, shouldn't make your kids do push-ups, blah, 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 right? And, I do make my kids do push-ups and run sometimes when they are late, right? I do think that's actually, there needs to be some sort of accountability, right? You can't just show up late all the time and blah, 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 and nothing happens, right? For me, it's a little bit different when it's a training session versus a practice. For me, training session is for them. When they show up late, they're forfeiting time that they could have been getting better at. So they chose not to train, right? They lose that time. And for a practice session, right, when it's a team, and you have to hold them accountable. And so how does that have to do with burnout, right? Obviously, it's your push, push, push. You got to do 1,000 push-ups, right? I don't want to say we've all seen Coach Carter. Maybe that's a good movie watch for all of us coaches in the summer. It's Coach Carter, and it makes him do so many, I don't know, thousands of push-ups, thousands of lines, whatever it is. Just something ridiculous. Obviously, we're not going to do that now. I think we'd probably get in big trouble if we did that. Nonetheless, just recognizing what is too much, right? I think asking yourself, is this actually helping this athlete learn from their mistake, learn from their behavior? I think that's honestly what we should be looking at when we're looking at punishment. And I think, with burnout, a lot of times it's again, there's a great episode. If you haven't listened to this one, go back and listen to the most recent Jamie Beckler episode where he talks about one of the challenges with coaches is they give a lot of feedback and instruction. And, I don't want to say feedback in terms of negative, right? Corrective feedback. And if they are always only giving corrective feedback, they're never giving positive reinforcement, never giving praise, never giving love, right? You are eventually going to burn your athletes out. And especially at the younger age, I feel like it's of the utmost importance to make sure, right, you are giving them positive reinforcement. And, there is data out there that says 3-to-1. Some people say 5-to-1. In all honesty, I don't know any coach who actually tracks their number of positive interactions per correction. However, I do think for you to not burn your athletes out, you need to put a premium on recognizing what they do well. Because if we celebrate what they do well, then they're going to want to repeat that behavior. A lot of times, especially, I'm going to transition into a little bit more of my youth development hat, like for kids that act out, right, that have behavior issues, and this is an incredible oversimplification and every kid is different, is to get attention. So if you can give them attention and you can recognize when they do something well, boom, that's a hook. And again, that's probably an episode on a whole nother day for, summer camp when you got a kid that's pissing you off, right? And their behavior is terrible. So, there's a couple things. Just call parents, say, see you later. But that's, again, for another day. So, and all in all, right, I feel like it's of the utmost importance for us to recognize our role to encourage our athletes to recover, make sure there is joy in our trainings, our practices. And I would say, just lastly, kind of recapping, making sure that when we are giving out discipline, right, we are also giving out love when we're not giving out discipline, and making sure that discipline is really intentional. So again, appreciate you all for listening. Just a monologue and me talking. I will be getting some guests on coming up in the next couple of weeks. It's been a grind. For a while, and if you don't want to listen to kind of the updates on me, you just wanted the information, then thank you for listening. But if you want a quick little update on, kind of why things have been slower, it's like I'm really starting to become the director of BTG. I'm looking to hire out a marketer, and a lot of things are coming my way in terms of what it is to actually be a director and owner. The program has been growing, and I'm incredibly grateful. Got a great group of families that we work with. I have a great coach that works with me, Colin. So I'm incredibly grateful, and I want to continue to be as consistent as possible, right? I debated whether maybe I want to record. I'm just going to be consistent. Boom. If it's a solo episode, it's a solo episode, but I want to get consistent value out to all of you all. And I really do appreciate if you listened all the way through this, and you got so many other options to listen to watch, to do. The fact that you are listening to me and me ramble on shows that you really care about making an impact on kids, because that's what it's all about. It's what Bridging Impact's about. It's to 10x our impact on kids and really make sure that they love sports, right? They want to be physically active for the rest of their life, and they want to learn, and they want to take leadership positions later on, and we want to spark that motivation and passion inside them. So appreciate you all. There will be another episode out next week. If you got something from this, you think someone would benefit from this episode, you see them maybe burning their kids out, whatever it is, send it on their way. So appreciate you all. Coach Furtado out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast. We'd love it if you would like, subscribe, leave a comment and a review on whatever platform you're on. It's the best way to help us grow. We appreciate you for doing that. We'll shout you out on social media. I'd also love if you connected with me on social media. Let me know your thoughts, and this is why I do it. I want to share knowledge and wisdom from experienced leaders to people like yourself and myself, so we can have this dialogue and move forward, make an impact on the world. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. Cheers.